Now, I didn't want to talk too much on the technical side because, we've got a lot of speakers here who will be talking on that. But taking advantage of this huge gathering here from the finance, of the finance professions, I thought I'll talk about a few of the initiatives that we have been taking at the council level. Few of them we've already been able to achieve, alhamdulillah, and few of them that we would like your help to achieve. Alhamdulillah, at ICAP we've got the strongest team available there. We've got the full-time secretary. We've got the ED in the north looking after the business. We've also got two positions on the education side, on the training side, to look after more training now that we've allowed the training outside the practice as well. As far as global outreach is concerned, we've done, alhamdulillah, we've done the MOU with CPA Canada, and we've also done the MOU with SOCPA. On the education side, we've had mid-tier qualification, and we've allowed the training outside of practice. Now we want to take the brand of ICAP outside of Pakistan as well, because we want an international footprint. And for that, Dubai, UAE is our first destination. And we've decided, Council has principally decided to take a phased approach to establish a liaison office in Dubai. We're very thankful to PIB committee, who's been very actively not only organizing CFO conferences, but also very actively doing the National Finance Olympiad, and very recently they've done the Toastmasters Club as well. Formation of Women's Chartered Accountants Committee was also one of the strategic objectives that we managed to achieve. And very soon, inshallah, in April, we are hoping to expose the CA ordinance, which has not been changed since 1961. Now, after having told you all these things, alhamdulillah, that we have managed to achieve, this one thing that I would request all the finance professionals here to go back to the jobs, go back to their organizations that they work in, and try and help us in achieving two objectives. One is the Student Endowment Fund, and the other one is AD Talent Program. Now, these are the two programs that we need your support for, because Student Endowment Fund, we've got about 100 million rupee fund that we've had this fund for a while, and whatever returns we get out of this fund, we utilize this fund to support the students who want to pursue the CA qualification. Alhamdulillah, out of 2,500 students have been supported, and out of that 45 people have qualified, and 400 plus students have gone up to CAF level. The other program is, after the death of Mr. AD, we named the National Talent Program to AD CA Talent Program. This was established in 2013. Now, this is a totally funded program by the ICAP. We do it from our own resources, and what we do is we go to each and every 36 boards that are in Pakistan, and we select the best, try and select the best talent from the underprivileged background, and we try and help them to pursue CA profession. So these are the two initiatives that we would like you think about and come forward and help us so that we can pursue these programs. In the end, ladies and gentlemen, I'm extremely grateful to PIB committee and its members for the great work they do for ICAP. We're all very lucky to have people of such quality. They were, the members of the PIB committee were here till 2:30 in the morning, and if I could just take a few names to acknowledge their efforts. Khalil, who is the chairman of PIB committee, with him Samiullah Siddiqui, Basit, Sajid Kaparia, Khurram, who is the master of ceremonies, Zara and Amber, who are our staff from ICAP. So if I can ask you just to give them a big round of applause, because they've done tremendous efforts to put this show together. In the end, I'd like to thank the sponsors who supported us. I also acknowledge the efforts of executives and the staff of the Institute, and especially the role of IT integration, because the integration of technology has been done really well, and would like to appreciate the IT department of ICAP for their role in enhancing the conference registration process. I look forward to your continued participation With that, I'd like you to all sit back, relax, have a great conference, and have a great day. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. It gives me great pleasure to introduce the keynote presentation of the day by the very renowned Dr. Jose Cordero, who is a PhD from the MIT University and an MBA from the INSEAD. He's the founder and the president of the World Future Society. Sir, it is an honor to have you over here, and if I can request everyone to give a round of applause because he's specifically flown over for the purposes of this conference. Thank you, sir.
Good morning to everybody. It's a pleasure for me to be back here in Pakistan. The first time I came here was in 1988. A long time ago. I had just graduated from MIT, and I came to Asia, and I visited several countries. So it really is a pleasure to be back again. The country has changed a lot since 1988. I also came again 3-4 years ago, so I'm happy to be here and to talk about the future. I work with different institutions related to the future. One of those is obviously the World Future Society, and two others. One is the Millennium Project that began as the futuristic part of the United Nations, and also I'm one of the founding faculty of Singularity University. And I don't know if you have heard about it. It's a new institution located in Silicon Valley in California, where we talk about the technologies of the future and how these technologies will radically improve the human condition. In the Millennium Project, we have groups of futurists all over the world, including here some in Pakistan. Most of them actually in the capital in Islamabad, but we also have futurists in different parts of the world. And we see what are the trends of the future, the trends in different areas, what is happening in different areas, not just in economics, but also in the environment, energy, the different challenges of humanity. And another institution related to the future is Singularity University. The university was created in 2009 to prepare humanity for the big changes that are happening. All the new technologies, nanotechnology, biotechnology, infotechnology, space travel. We will be traveling to space soon also, we hope. And all of these technologies that sometimes don't work, like right now, we have some technology problems right now with the presentation, but that is normal. We need to have backup systems so that we can work with alternative technologies. Anyway, so all of these technologies are going to improve the human condition. I want to show you how fast technologies have been changing. Maybe some of the friends here in the first row, because they have a lot of experience, remember these. These were the IBM punch cards, which were some of the first computer memories. And this basically has 10 by 100. 10 by 100, that makes 1,000. This is 1K of memory. 1K, and I used this 30 years ago. But the problem with these mechanical memories is that you could not change them. Therefore, electromagnetic memories were invented, like this one. This is the first generation of floppy disk. This is 8 inches big, and it was also 1K of memory 30 years ago. But this 1K was better because you could change. You could actually change this technology. Okay, so was 1K and 1K 30 years ago. You probably remember these two. These floppy disks, these were 512K, and this is changing exponentially. And then probably, I have here a pen drive, a USB flash memory of 128 gigabytes. This has happened in 30 years, okay? In 30 years, we went from 1K of memory to 128 gigabytes. Now let me ask you, what do you think will happen in the next 20, 30 years? This will happen and more, because this is an exponential technology. In 30 years, we will have devices smaller than these with more brain power than your own brains. And this is actually the idea of the technological singularity. The singularity is defined as the time when artificial intelligence reaches human intelligence. We expect this to happen between 2029 and 2045. That is the time when computers will have more transistors than you have neurons in your brain. And therefore, artificial intelligence will reach human intelligence level. But don't worry, this is positive, this is good, because it will be connected to you. It will improve you. It will help you to be more intelligent. With artificial intelligence, you will become more intelligent. You will use all these technologies to improve yourself, like you have now mobile telephones. Everybody today in the planet basically has a cell phone, everybody. Okay, even in Africa, everyone who really wants can have at least a cheap telephone. Okay, and in 5 years, the mobile telephones will be very sophisticated computers, completely connected to internet, free. Completely connected to internet, free. This is going to happen in the next 5 years. We expect to have free internet throughout the planet. In the middle of the Indian Ocean, in the middle of the South Pole, there will be free internet, so that the penguins also have free internet, okay? Everybody will have free internet in 5 years. This will radically change humanity. In 5 years, you will not be able to say anymore, I don't know. Because if you want to know, you will be able to know, because you will have access to all the knowledge of humanity. So let me go a little bit faster, because I talked about some of these things already. I actually presented one book at the World Economic Forum, you probably know, Davos, Switzerland, about what is happening in Latin America, which is my original region. I was born in Venezuela, even though I work mostly now in the USA. But how is the future of Latin America and different parts of the world? And I had the pleasure to meet Donald Trump, actually, and I did a TV program with him in CNN. It was very interesting talking to Donald Trump and his vision of the world. But let me tell you what will happen in the next few years in the world. If we look at the trends in population from the year 1800, the major regions of the world, the population of the planet will stabilize in the next 20 to 30 years. It will stabilize, and then actually it will begin declining. It will go down. Some countries are already going down demographically, like Japan and Russia. The situation in Japan is critical. If the trend continues, there will be no Japanese in 1 century. There will be no people in Japan in a century. China is also another tragedy. If you look at China, the population of China will reach 1.5 billion people, and then it will go down to 1.3 trillion. That means that China will lose 200 million people because of the one-child policy. Imagine losing 200 million people. That's the population of Pakistan disappearing. And that will happen in China in the next 3 to 4 decades. They will lose 200 million people. This is in terms of population, but let me show you what is happening in terms of economic development. The human condition until the year 1800 was poverty. The natural human condition is poverty, disease, sickness, hunger. That is the human condition, unfortunately, until the 18th century and the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. If you look at the scale, the vertical scale, this is a logarithmic scale. That means an exponential growth of the gross domestic product. the economy is growing exponentially, and this is fantastic. We passed from around $1,000 per person per year 2 centuries ago to currently in the planet, we are already at around $15,000 per person per year, and this will continue increasing. We are truly living in incredible times. This is the best time to be alive today, but it is only going to get better. The economy of the planet will continue growing. Development is happening faster and faster and faster. The first country in the history of humanity that doubled its income per capita was the United Kingdom during the Industrial Revolution between 1780 and 1838. That means it took the United Kingdom 58 years for the first time in human history to double its income. Today, the world record is China. China, every 7, 8, or 9 years, doubles its income per capita. And this is beautiful. This shows that there is no excuse anymore to be poor. There are no excuses anymore to be poor because we know today what works and we know what doesn't work. A very interesting case is Japan. Japan 200 years ago was actually a very poor country. But because of science and technology, it began developing very fast in the last few years. Even though Japan is small, Japan is very small. Japan is less than half the size of Pakistan. And it really is a poor country, but with rich people because of science and technology. So we need to focus on science and technology to improve the human condition. As I mentioned, until the 18th century, the human condition was poverty, disease, sickness. Average life expectancy until the 18th century was 25 years of age. Average age, life expectancy, okay? How many of you have less than 25 years of age? Very few people, okay? Very, very few people. The rest of us would be dead 200 years ago, because we are over 25. What I want to tell you is how the condition has been improved very quickly. And we were caught in the Malthusian trap. There was no economic growth, there was only stagnation and poverty until the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. In the 19th century, humanity grew about 100% GDP growth. In the 20th century, it grew about 400%. We expect that in this 21st century, humanity will grow maybe 2,000%, 3,000%. We are living in incredible times of opportunity. In the next 20 years, we are going to see more changes than in the last 2 millennia. I repeat, this is incredible. In the next 20 years, more changes than in the last 2,000 years. And this is happening throughout the planet, but there are exceptions. For example, I grew up in South America, as I explained, and there are some groups of people who do not want to change. And that is okay, that is their own decision. These are some of the Aboriginal Indians in the Amazon area. They do not want to change. They are living today like they left, thousands of years ago. Other groups which are very interesting, the Amish. The Amish, which are Europeans who emigrated in the 18th century to the Americas, they live like they were living 200 years ago. They don't want to change. So some people will reject change. They will not want to change. In fact, probably, there were maybe some groups who didn't want the will. Some parts of the world, maybe 5,000 years ago, were opposed to the will. And there is a very famous group of people called the Luddites in England. When the Industrial Revolution began in England, they destroyed the machines because they said that the machines would take their jobs. And therefore, they began destroying all the machines in England. Fortunately, they were wrong, and today we live much better with the machines. And this will continue, so we have to think about what is happening in the future. I grew up in Venezuela, and if you look on the left, that is the logo of the Petroleum Company of Venezuela, the largest company of South America. But I am sure no one here knew that logo. But all of you know Mickey Mouse on the right. And Mickey Mouse sells more than all the petroleum of Venezuela. Mickey Mouse, or its company, Walt Disney. I love Walt Disney, if you look at my tie also. But if you haven't seen my tie, you will certainly see my hat, my Mickey Mouse hat. This Mickey Mouse hat is made completely of petroleum, probably Venezuelan petroleum. And how much do you think does it cost? How much do you think is a Mickey Mouse hat? Let's say $10. Okay, $10. And it comes from a barrel of oil, which is this big. How many hats can you make from a barrel of oil? Let's say 1,000 hats. Multiplied by 10 makes $10,000. All of you accountants can multiply quickly, right? $10,000. And the barrel of oil, how much does it cost? $50 today. So where is the value? Is the value in the $50 of the raw material or in the $10,000 of manufacturing? Manufacturing. We have to go from manufacturing to manufacturing. There are many, many other examples. Let me give you another one from South America again. Do you know who is the person on the left? He is the symbol of the Colombian exports, of the coffee of Colombia. He's called Juan Valdez. And the Colombians, this is like the national hero of Colombia, and no one knows him here. But everybody here knows a Starbucks, right? A Starbucks actually sells 10 times more than all the coffee from Colombia. So again, the value is not raw materials. What is important is to add value. We need to add value to any product, to coffee, to petroleum, to anything. The important thing is to add value. Futurists talk about 4 ways to look into the future. The worst way is to be passive. You don't want to see what is going to happen. You hide your head like the ostrich. So I hope we do not have ostriches here, because ostriches are not from Pakistan. The second way is to be reactive, like a firefighter. You prepare yourself when there is a fire. But it is much better to be proactive, like when you buy insurance, to be ready for any bad things. But the best is to be proactive, because we can create the future. We can construct the future. We can visualize good scenarios and bad scenarios, and go for the good scenarios and avoid the bad scenarios. So I hope all of you are proactive. We don't want any ostriches, but if we have ostriches, they should be technological ostriches. 10 years ago, a new university was created in California, Singularity University. I mentioned about that earlier, with the financing of Google and located at NASA in Silicon Valley in California. And the idea of the Singularity is how technologies are changing exponentially, and how these technologies can be used to solve all of humanity's problems: food, education, water, security. And then the students create companies with the technologies to solve those problems. We also have a special program just for finance, because the financial industry will be totally disrupted in the next 10 years, completely disrupted. And in fact, we say you need to disrupt yourself, or someone else will do it to you. Okay, so be prepared to the disruption that is coming now. The financial industry is huge. In terms of GDP, it's one of the largest industries in the world. And right now there is a tsunami of technological change. That is why we talk about fintech, financial technology tsunami, that will totally change the financial sector. Because it is very primitive today. The financial industry is primitive today compared to what we will see in the next 10 years using technology. It's very opaque, it's very expensive compared to what we will see in the next few years. One of the first examples of fintech was the case of Lending Club in California, which is peer-to-peer lending. And this has been an incredibly successful company, and just the beginning of the financial technologies that we can see. Another example that probably people talk about a lot is Bitcoins. Bitcoins is just an example of a digital currency. There are many, many of these today, not just Bitcoin. There are many, many that go up and down